This meeting to order. It is Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. We're here at 10:30 a.m. for airport and public works mower rental and purchasing discussions.
Okay,
I will turn it over to
So you and I had spoken a couple of weeks ago. Every year around this time of the year for the last several years, the road department or the parks department has been enlisted to help do some mowing on the west end of the airport to knock down some of the grass and things so it's safe for the helicopters, for fire patrol, firefighting efforts to mobilize there and help protect the county during our fire season. So that season is coming up. You had reached out to me and said we're getting ready to mow. And I had expressed to you that last year we had used the two mowers from the Pinehurst Park. This year our mowers are not in the best condition. We have one of the two that's down right now, waiting for parts and to be fixed with a pulley because we kept having a belt break. And the other one has a fluid leak. And so we don't feel that our equipment is up to the task this year. So urgently we were trying to seek out other options that were going to be fairly inexpensive that would get the job done and we could get the mowing done on time. So you'd recommended that we put this on the agenda so we could discuss it. We had reached out. I enlisted the help of Dan Carney. He's our mechanic and interim supervisor for Smelterville to do the legwork and research on this. So Dan had worked with Western States Rental for CAT, and they had sourced out a mower attachment that would be outfitted. It would hook onto our skid steer that we have in our fleet. And that was really all we could find for rentals. And they had needed a decision. I wasn't able to talk to you first. I normally don't work this way, but Kat said we have somebody else that wants to rent it. We need you to commit to it, even though it's on your agenda for Wednesday, or we're going to have to put it to somewhere else. And so we did make the decision to send our guy over and pick up the equipment so we wouldn't lose it, so we would have something to mow.
And it's only like $150 a day.
So the rental, and I think I had sent this to you before in an email, so you can rent it by the day for 8 hours. You can rent it by the week for 40 hours, or you can rent it by the month for 160 hours. We knew we would need it for longer than 8 hours, but we would not need it for longer than the week. We would not need it for longer than 40 working hours. So that's what we committed to. Normally I don't get ahead of the game before something's been approved, but because of the circumstances, I made the executive decision to get it before it was gone.
And I agree with that. You guys were already starting mowing, and it looks amazing out there.
That being said, Danny sent me a picture or a video, and the coverage and the speed at which that attachment mows is unreal.
He done in 3.5 hours what took our crew of 7. 2 big mowers. I think we had 3 guys on weed eaters last year. We were there 9.5 hours. He covered that in less than 4.
And he also took out brush that we needed. We've got a lot of brush out there that's growing that mowers can't take care of, and that took care of it.
So with that being said, I'm thinking by the end of business today, when I go pick him up, 3/4 to almost all that airport will be mowed.
Okay.
First time in years. So it's truly a blessing.
Yeah, and so that's more than what we had been taking care of for the purpose of the helicopters to stage there. It's mowing that just hadn't been able to be done over the last several years.
Okay. I appreciate that. That one of the things is fire. We're next to the freeway, and we've got to take care of that to make sure that, we knock the weeds down and get the brush cleared. So I'm glad we were able to do that.
So we had, upon me bringing this to you, we had briefly discussed, just you and I, what it would take to purchase something that would fit these needs, because we do have, needs, for the airport that we aren't quite meeting, or we're struggling to meet. And then there are some other needs that we have, that aren't, pertaining to our department, but they're pertaining to the county. A lot of the lots that the county owns, or, they sit vacant, or they're leased, or whatever, we have the growth, and we don't have anything to knock that down, every once in a while. And so you had asked me to maybe seek out some rough numbers of what purchasing something to meet those needs would look like. And so Danny has been on the phone pretty much since we spoke a few days ago, and I'll kind of let you go over some of the things that you had price checked on.
Okay.
So one thing we've talked about is a mower that would cover everything from the airport, road shoulders, and like I told you on the phone the other day, it's spinny, but I wanted to have the numbers.
Okay.
So this would be very similar to the green John Deere we have now, with the side boom 4 road shoulders, and then a 10-foot flail behind it for doing the airport vacant lots. I was close on my figures from a year ago. I think it come in there just shy of $300,000.
Oh, wow. And is that with the tractor?
Yes, this is all brand new. That one's got some colored brochures and whatnot.
Okay.
And then similar to what we have our skid steer in that rental deck, Jeff Shaw quoted. So
60s.
you have current numbers on that as far as trying to source money for just a cutter for.
Okay. So the cutter's just, how much is a cutter? Is it 67,000?
So the machine itself, if we did a skid steer like ours, without having, because right now, we've looked at getting something that you could tow behind or mount to the front of. That would entail, if we did something that was like a skid steer attachment, like what we had utilized this time, that would entail road department's machine being utilized, for different things besides the road department, which would entail us probably having to send an operator for that. So we wanted to get you prices on what it would look like to purchase a unit that could handle that by itself. This is for the machine,
And that's for the unit?
And then the tow behind unit is just a hair over $7,500.
That's the tow behind, or is that the unit?
Or not the tow behind, but the unit,
hydraulic
the
one.
cutter
The
unit.
brush cutter.
Yes.
One of the things is I'm thinking kind of ahead too, is we do have the solid waste does have a Bobcat as well. So if we just looked at purchasing that,
The attachment itself.
it could be used by solid waste, roads, and then maybe solid waste can help do the we can use solid waste to help do the airport or something like that.
Sure.
Now, with this unit, would it fulfill any of your needs on the sides of roads or any right
In some places, but
places.
this is out ahead of the skid steer. It's a flat deck.
Yeah.
The thing on our roads, all our shoulders slip over.
Yep.
So that's where the more designated machine with that side boom comes in.
Yeah.
I can stretch that out. Most of them will go 22 feet, and then you can also roll your mower out here to the side to contour it. Some of our road shoulders, yes, we could use a flat deck. 90% of them, you'll roll the machine trying to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I reached out to Jeff on that. John Deere quoted as well for you.
Okay.
Deck versus complete machine.
Okay.
And then I reached out to Coeur d'Alene Tractor. It's a weird time of year. Farmers.
Yep.
That's this man at Cat. He actually pulled that in from a Washington sales area, so we would have a chance to run it. That's where the push come in.
Okay.
I can't thank the rental dude enough to make this happen. And then with Coeur d'Alene Tractor, Randy had mentioned several times a pull behind for like behind the mule. They do not promote them, push them in any way. They sold one of these a year ago, and they've had a lot of issues since the owner sold it.
Because it has its own power, its own motor. And
yes.
I think
like you said, when it comes to mowing acre upon acre, like we're doing at the airport right now, they're just not cut out to do that.
Okay.
A small, say like an RV lot or something, he says they're gangbusters. But you get into the commercial grade, and they just don't hack it.
Okay.
So, and this one, I didn't have all our numbers to shoot to him. but he said you can take 12% off any of these costs right now once we put the Sourcewell numbers out to his desk. And he done the same thing. It's full quote, options of different mowers types, and a track mounted machine through him. These guys want rubber tire for your ideas of looking, because overall cost saves you money. Very capable around the airport and our side lots. This is almost identical to what we have out there right now. Of course, the track machine's more money. This guy quoted what he could sell you in the next, say, 3 weeks. Because again, farmer season, everything is overwhelmed right now. So I done those for you guys to have on hand and kick around. And
I know we'll discuss this in further with a further grant with the fire mitigation.
Sure.
Because I know that was one of the things that they were. So we'll have to discuss that further on the purchase of the $300,000. That part.
And that is because I helped Bill with that a little over a year ago. And there's something similar to that in his package. Where the grant goes, none of us know yet, but
so we'll have to discuss that in a later meeting. But okay, well, I appreciate it. That'll give us some thought, and maybe we can reach out. We'll reach out to the solid waste, and you guys can use it. You would have use for it
in places,
in solid waste and the airport.
And we will, I know it's kind of short notice, and I know Richard from Solid Waste does, do the travel route, but, we've got the unit today if they'd like to see it in action. It might be a good idea to let them know that we
want to reach out.
I can reach out if he's got a minute.
Great.
Yeah.
That would be great. Okay.
Yeah. So he can see if he feels like that would fit his needs and work for him.
Okay.
Randy is absolutely in love with what's wrong.
Oh, I know. I heard about it. I appreciate it.
And I think this is in there, but I printed an extra copy. This is for the Western States CAT. This is for the brush cutter. So this would just be purchase of the attachment.
Okay. Any public questions?
Lease agreement on the mower for the skid steer. Do they lease them?
I did not ask that question. What I have found out is like even renting one was very difficult. He had to reach out and pull this from a dealership out of mid-Washington. As far as who we deal with through CAT, it's going to be a different division, which Jeff Shaw, our CAT guy, is going to reach out and get us a bid for a full-blown, but he's got to go through a tractor outfit. Carl Dewar, John Deere, Jeff Shaw from CAT, they are rock, dirt, and logging. So every time we ask, they got to go to a different guy outside of the source. So we will have one more bid coming in from CAT. Kind of the feedback I got from our CAT and John Deere guy right now is we can lease anything under our program. They don't generally lease these out because they're a high wear item. It's going to be more of a purchase thing. And I thought with this, if you have all the quotes where you can take the time down the road, the FAA, Fire Met, wherever we can qualify for a grant, maybe.
Okay, well, we'll look it over and see what we can do. I appreciate your effort.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, just
Thank
let
you.
us know if you want us to, research anything further. If
Okay.
you've got any
Okay.
questions. I know this is
Okay.
a lot to kind of throw out. We just wanted to give you guys lots of options
Okay.
since you were
Yeah.
interested.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for all the different options actually
Okay.
to look at.
Perfect.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions? No. Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.